Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. It is another episode of the Madness and Mayhem podcast, a chance for us to get nice up close and personal and have a little discussion about, I don't know, whatever's going on in life or with us or with you or with me or whatever. It's just a chance for me to start talking in an environment where I don't have to beat things up and kill all the things in front of me. And, I think it's a nice break sometimes from the action. So today, I hope you're doing well wherever you are, whether it is day or night. I always like to say that because people listen all the time. Sometimes I've got some listeners that like to fall asleep listening to me, and this might be a particularly good one to do that with, but I still want you to kind of get the point of what I'm talking about. So try not to fall asleep until the end, okay? Anyway, so yeah, today what I wanted to talk about was it's a fear that I have, and it might be one that that some of you are dealing with as well. And I think it's an issue that's starting to grow a little bit in our modern society. And it is this: who's going to take care of me when I get older, right? Who's going to take care of my wife and I as we get older? And here we go with this discussion. It starts like this. We used to have a society, and a lot of older societies, older countries and everything in the world, China, Japan, Russia, most of Europe, basically all of Europe, the UK, anywhere that's been around longer than us has been based on a respect and take care of your elders kind of society, okay? Everything is based on the wisdom of elders. It's based on taking care of. There's infrastructure in place in order to take care of them. You hear in Russia the great legendary babushkas, the grandmas who were the tough old ladies who everybody in the village takes care of and loves to have around, and they're all resourceful and tough as nails and, just ultimately a loving person though. And so, in places like Japan, the elders are absolutely revered. As you get older in Japan, your status goes up just by the virtue of becoming an aged person, right? And a lot of the infrastructure there also built around taking care of the elderly. There's great inventions that come out from Japan to take care of the elderly, like a lot of the like comfort driven items, like there's robot dogs and cats and stuff, and like little robotic interfaces, like holographic interfaces that they've designed. There's some pretty wild stuff that has been invented to help take care of the elderly. And I'll get to that in just a second on what I think is going to happen worldwide in terms of that trend. In most of Europe, it's kind of the same thing. It's, that idea of it takes a village, except it takes a village to take care of all the elderly people. And it's sort of just ingrained in the society, right? Places like Cyprus and in Italy and Spain, and it's all... You get these ideas in your head immediately of a bunch of old people sitting at coffee shops and wine bars and stuff, and just enjoying a quiet life, feeding pigeons and stuff, right? Then let's flash over to the United States, where the elderly are kind of seen as this burden now, right? There's this great, ironic dichotomy that's going on in the United States, and it's this, where we say, we don't trust the elderly. They're not fit to take care of things. We need to take care of them. They're all old and infirm and have Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff. And yet at the same time, our entire political system is based on the old people that run it. Except for a few outliers that we've got, starting to crop up in Senate races and stuff. It's, oh my God, it's like, we put this whole, anyway. So in the United States, it's this weird thing where old people are kind of like seen as a burden. And like, who's going to take care of Aunt Bernice when she gets too old, right? Who's gonna take care of Uncle Ding Dong when Uncle Ding Dong, where the hell did I get that? When he gets older and starts to poop the bed and all that stuff. Oh, it's unpleasant. Yeah, getting old is unpleasant, folks. For at least the last like 10 years or 5 years of your life, it's kind of unpleasant at times, But here's the thing that drives me to do today's episode. I don't know who's going to take care of Mrs. Orpheus and I when we get older, right? We never had kids. We're getting up to the age where having kids is kind of going to be a little weird. We may adopt at some point along the way. We're not really sure yet. We're not in a situation in terms of our living situation and everything right now where we can adopt, but we might at some point in the future. But for this thought experiment, let's get rid of all of those scenarios where we adopt or something like that. And I want to talk about like what it would be like if you get old and you don't have anyone to take care of you, right? Traditionally, like you have your kids that are going to take that role when you get to the point when you are so old that you need to be either taken care of at home or put in a nursing home or something like that. And the assumption is that you're always going to have someone there. Your family is going to take care of you. Well, here's the rub on my side. I don't have a family anymore. You can go, I have several episodes where I talk about how I don't communicate with my family anymore. There's just a few people who knew me before, I don't know, the year 2000, who I actually still speak with. It's an interesting situation, and you really would have to watch most of my videos in order to understand all of it. I'm not gonna go into all of it here. It would take way too long. Yeah. So in hour 7 of our podcast today, no. So the idea is I don't have any family. I don't have anyone on my side of the family that could take care of me, right? And I don't know what would happen if something happened to my wife, right? If I got a phone call today that something had happened to my wife, I wouldn't know what to do. I'm disabled. I'm still fighting to get recognized as disabled by the government, so I don't get any payments for that. I obviously don't have a job, right? I spend my time cleaning up the house and doing all those wonderful house husband things that I love to do because they give me things to do. They give me a chance to give back to my wife, for working so hard and everything like that. But I don't have the ability to have a job, right? I can't do anything right now. And if something were to happen, I don't know what I would do. Like, would I go to her family and hope that they would help take care of me? Would I go stay with one of the few family friends that I still talk to, or the few people? I really don't know. I wouldn't know who to call. I wouldn't know who to talk to about something like that. And boy, that's a lot more difficult to face as an idea than I thought it would be when I started this podcast. This episode, it's rough to think that I might have to do all this alone at some point, because I don't know. There's such a fear that comes up where there's no plan, like of course there's life insurance and stuff like that. But I mean, let's be realistic. How many of you, if you're older, in millennial or older right now and you're listening, how many of you have an escape plan, as it were, or a life insurance plan or something, and shit hit the fan kind of a plan for what if your life gets turned upside down? How many of you have a straightforward and strong plan for that? And I think the answer to that is not a lot of us do. And you can probably tell that we don't have the best plan either. And plus, that stuff takes time, right? You can't, if something happens to my wife, it's not like an insurance company is going to show up and print out a check. And I know that money would be the last of my issues, but it would also be one of the biggest ones. I would of course have to deal with loss and with the fear and everything like that, and the anguish and the anxiety. But I'd also have to deal with, I wouldn't know what to do, right? I'm going to be honest here. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of people that I could, there's a certain way to gauge who a friend is in your life. And one of the more humorous anecdotal ways to say that is, like, if you woke up in jail, right? Who would you call? Like, who's the kind of person that you would call and you know that they would help you out, right? It didn't matter if it was a $5,000 bond, right? You had to get out. Who would you call? Who of your friends do you A, have the phone number for, okay? And B, rely on to show up to bail you out of jail with $5,000, or just in general, right? To come and get you. Who is that person in your life besides your spouse or your significant other, right? Who is that person in your life that you would call? Well, for me, nothing personal for any of you guys. I don't have your phone numbers, first of all. Here, the friends that still know me and I communicate with on a semi-regular basis, I don't have your phone numbers, first of all, and I feel bad about that. But you know, we communicate through email and Facebook and stuff like that. So there's that. I can't go to the cops, hey, hand me my phone, I need to get on Facebook real quick, and like, I am one of my friends. And two, again, nothing personal, guys. I don't know you well enough. I wouldn't want to call you and burden you with something like that. And that's the same thing for if shit hit the fan, right? If something went horribly wrong and I lost my spouse, or if she lost me, which of her friends or which of my friends could we call, right? Which of them could take that burden on? I wouldn't want to call any of them it's not shame, it's not regret or anything. It's just like, hey, I don't mean to bother you, but I need a place to live for a while, you know? I know maybe one person in my life that I would be able to call or message and ask that question. And if you're listening, you know who you are. You'd be the person that I would call, because I don't have anyone else in my family. I don't have anyone else that I could call for something that drastic. You know what I'm saying? And if you are listening, thank you for being that person through all these years. Boy, I'm getting choked up on this one. It's a rough one, you know, facing that prospect of being alone. But let's turn it back to getting older. As my wife and I get older, are we going to have to rely on our nieces and nephews? You know, do you have a plan? Do you have nieces, nephews, kids that are going to be able to take care of you as you get older? Now, if you're one of my listeners that's younger and this isn't even something that you've begun to consider in life, I don't want you to have some strange existential crisis, right? I don't want you to suddenly think, "Oh my God, what am I going to do when I get older?" Look, if you're under, I would say, 35s, don't even worry about something like this. You are going to build up your network as you get older. You're going to build up a family that's close and tight knit and everything. And even if you don't, you're going to have some friends and family members that are going to be able to take care of you. For me, I'm going to have to rely on the kindness of not only my family, like my in-laws. I'm going to have to rely on the kindness of strangers and estranged friends. And that really freaks me out. But for Mrs. Orpheus and I guess, like I said, we're going to have to go to the nieces and nephews, maybe? I don't know. That's kind of what terrifies me. But there's little bits of hope here and there, right? On how to take care of the elderly as we go along. And this can be kind of hopefully a motivating drive for some of you that are, you know, considering where to go in the technology or in job markets as, you know, things go on. Here's a really great suggestion. Go into any technology or study that helps with aging and taking care of geriatric people. Okay, so support kind of technology. In other words, home robots, home robotics, things like, everyone's talking about those humanoid robots that Tesla or other companies are making. Go into that field, okay? That is going to be what's needed, because what's going on in the world is birth rates are starting to drop. Okay, the number of people that are younger is getting smaller compared to the number of people who are getting older. And so there's going to be this huge influx of people who are just elderly and starting to get to the point where they can't take care of themselves. And at the rate that we're going right now, the birth rate is starting to steadily drop. Again, don't have some strange existential crisis about this. We're not facing this issue as a human race, in general for a while. Okay. I mean, like a couple hundred years. Let's not get all freaked out. But the thing is, within our lifetimes, the amount of people that are older are going to vastly outnumber the number of people who are younger. At least from what I've read in all the news stories and everything. I might be wrong about this, but the point is there is going to be such an influx of elderly people that there's going to need to be some sort of investment, great investment. And I mean, like, the next tech boom is going to be in technology and processes that are designed to help the elderly. We're talking about comfort devices like I said in Japan and other places like that, where there's holographic interfaces that let, the elderly have a friend, someone to just talk to every day, right? Someone to just be a friendly ear or help with the dishes or something like that. Transportation is going to be a big thing. Autonomic transportation, in other words, self-driving vehicles. That's going to be something that will help out the elderly immensely. Drone deliveries. These are all technologies that are coming up and becoming more commonplace as we go along. Those are going to be the important ones to start investing in as we go along. So if you are wondering what career path to take right now, if you're listening to me and you're going, well, what can I do for a living when I get a little bit older? That's what you can do. You will make so much money in that field, in any of those fields, if you go into them. And they're going to be ones that have, no pun intended, a lot of longevity, because as we get older, those technologies are going to be needed more and more. So, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, though. Right? I think it's going to be something along the lines of, there's got to be a good blend between younger people taking care of the elderly and the technology that's available, because no matter what we develop in terms of tech, no matter how easy we make it for older people to take care of themselves, there's always going to be that need for human interaction and human touch, okay? There's studies that say that if someone doesn't speak to or touch human beings, or if they're not around them for a certain period of time, you go a little nuts, okay? You get not just cabin fever, but you start to fold in on yourself almost like a black hole. And that black hole can take you and suck everything that you have right into it and make you into a hermit who never wants to go anywhere, and you'll never get taken care of by anybody. You'll have to hack it yourself. Anyway, that's something I hope that there's some sort of structure or something that'll come along and help take care of Mrs. Orpheus and I as we get older. Hey, maybe you're that special someone right now that is going to be somehow a billionaire at some point, and you go, yeah, you know what? I'll go take care of Orpheus and Mrs. Orpheus. I'll make sure they're set up for the rest of their lives and have a nice retirement and everything like that. Anyway, that's my rambling for today. It's something I wanted to talk about, maybe kind of a mini therapy session for myself, but also maybe something for you to think about as well as you get a little bit older in life. So that's my little blurb today. We'll see you in the next one. Be good, do good, and treat yourself well, because you know what? You deserve it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.